Hey guys, welcome to Content is Profit. Today, I have a really exciting episode. This person came as a referral from one of our other guests, and look at his superpower. Teaching how to visualize goals that are uniquely yours versus what influencers and cough gurus might try to tell you in that success is. So we really dove into the creative catalyst, right? A lot of people that come to us in the studio and in Business Creator Club, I think that's one of the harder friction points for them to solve. So we really dive in. We actually have a playbook on how to be yourself. We talk about this specifically. I told them, like, there's people that don't know how to be themselves. I was one of them. So, like, can you walk us through like step 1 and step 2 and step 3? And we go through that. He shares also why he dared the gods of lightning. Crazy, right? And how that experience turned out into a great monetization later on for him. We talk about the 1% rule. And then also, this is one of my favorite parts, is like, how do we actually create mental anchors and event anchors? And I share like this experience that I've had, in the last like couple of days, building something new that we're also like kind of breaking down in businesscreator.club. But yeah, anyways, the conversation is super awesome. If you have any feedback, if you want to learn more, if you want to dive deep, businesscreator.club, we're taking founding members. Today, we're trying to get to our first 50. So welcome to the family. And with that, enjoy the show. Take care. Hey guys, and welcome back to Content is Profit. Today, we are back on track with our guest. I know that you might be tired to listen to Luis yap and the last couple episodes, couple rants there with fake clips and fake content that's gonna go out there. And today we're gonna debunk all that, because the person that's coming here, we're gonna be talking about what is the catalyst of creation, what is your uniqueness, what is your vision, what is your message, how do you bring yourself into the content through the camera. And yesterday we had an incredible session with our friend and partner Stacy in her people party. And the topic was about that, how like content today is transitioning to that. So with that said, I want to welcome our good friend Steve to the show. What's up, Steve?
Hey there, Luis. Thank you so much for having me here with you today. I am so looking forward to this conversation. So thanks for the invite.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, first of all, uniqueness. I love your background, man. And behind cameras, you were telling me that you like hands-on things. So like your whole basement is like this complexion of sets and different things. So I love that right off the bat.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So tell me, Steve, obviously, topic of the show, content is profit, right? There's many elements. I don't know if you're familiar, but in Business Creator Club, we talk about these 6 levers, right? From anywhere from like, what do we say in front of the camera that a lot of people like tend to worry a lot about, to like the creation process, production, monetization, operations. How do we distribute all that, right? Like all these levers, right? And when I first talked to you, we mentioned the creation aspect. And I don't think we've touched on that. There's many elements there, but I would love for you to kind of explain a little bit of your process on the creative side. Like, how do we tap into that creative side if somebody might consider themselves not a creative person?
Yeah. Number one step, look around where you're at right now. And I believe there's no place we can be that's not going to have some sort of an inspiration for a lesson you could share, something you could point out, something that you could create a story about.
Yeah.
And just look around. There's so many people out there right now creating all this fake identity and for their companies, and they're just trying to tap into a hot topic instead of just coming from their heart and soul and their gut of who they really are. And the favorite question I've ever been asked is, because I've been a speaker now for 22 years. I do coaching. I do so much content creation. I've been over 300 shows like this all around the world over the past 18 years.
Yeah.
And I love it when people say, "Hey, Steve, how do you make up those stories that you share?" And I just look at them and I tilt my head like a puppy and I just start laughing. I said, have you not been paying attention to my life over the past 23 years? The highs, the lows, the ups, the downs. My Phoenix rides a pogo stick. Trust me, I've been in and out of the fire so many times, I got no tail feathers left.
Yeah.
If you can't go through something like that and come up with ways to share lessons based on who you are and what you have survived so far, that's the best place to start. If you're in business, if you're a solopreneur like myself, whatever you have survived is the perfect material to start with, to be able to share to other people about how they can do it too. And it establishes your authority because you're being authentic and genuine. That's what's missing out there too much. There's too many people out there living the lifestyle that I call the vision board starter kit, where it's all about the Lamborghini, the yacht, the private jet, the mansion, the helicopter, the big honking gold watch, and the bank vault full of gold bars. Tell me your story. And that's where the best content starts for me. I mean, I've done these photo shoots and stuff and have all these really cool pictures. I have an amazing photographer. Some of the most viral stuff I've ever done, the most viral video anyway, was me standing in my driveway at night, waving my arm to keep the garage security light on in the middle of a blizzard, talking about a homeless community in the woods down by the river 2 towns away and how we can all help people. I had snot running down my nose. I was just about crying because it's a topic very important to me. It's the most real, gross looking video I've ever done. And it went nuts. It had 9,500 views in 11 days.
Wow.
So start with your story, man. Start where you are and just look around and see what you've survived.
No, I love it, man. I mean, here in the thing that you submitted for a show, you put the weirder, the better, right? And I agree, and everybody has like different levels of weirdness, but I encourage everybody to kind of go and think about like, where do you levitate when you consume content? Because obviously, your mind as a consumer will be very different. And we find a lot of inspiration in the things that we like, right? So there's this myth going around. It's like, hey, attention span, if it's just 8 seconds, right? It's like just 8 seconds if you don't enjoy what you're watching or consuming, right? Like we all watch movies. We all go to the movie theater. We pay attention for like 2.5, 3 hours, right? Like we can pay attention. So how can we turn that be a lot of creators here are the information business, right? Where we're sharing stories, we're sharing like tactics, we're sharing this, that. It could be boring, right? Like it might be interesting for people who are looking for that specific answer, right? So I think that element is like that personality, your own story. Similar with you, like one of my initial videos when we were trying to figure this content thing out, in 2019, 2020, we're doing a challenge where we will go live for 45 days. Right, straight. And it was really intimidating for the first time. And one of the days, the commitment was like, you have to publish no matter what, right? Like, and one of them, I remember I got home, we were living in an apartment, and our apartment complex had this little dog park. And at the time, I had 2 huskies. And they were going crazy in the apartment. So I'm like, oh boy, like I still got to do the video. I was working on a fitness studio at the time. So I grab the dogs. I go down to park. And until then, all my lives were either in my office or up there in the apartment, kind of like a safe environment, right? Yep. And I was like, screw it. I'm just going to do it down there when the dogs are running around. And the format that we did was like, hey, just share a story of what happened today. And for those listening, we did an episode where we break this system down. So you can go back a couple. It's the one with Wes, like the fitness coach example. And anyway, so we're sharing this story and I see my dog starting to fight and I turn around and I film the dogs. And they're going crazy at each other, and I leave the phone on one side, run, try to separate them. I come back, and the life's still happening. People are like, "Oh my God, is everybody okay?" And I'm like, "Oh, yes." And like, there's like just one light on the corner, right? And I'm trying to put my face in the light, and that had like obviously the most engagement. People commenting, "Oh, I'm okay." Hey, people started, sharing the thing, and I was like, "Wow, this is pretty crazy." And we got, at the time, we're looking for connections. We're looking for conversations, and that started a ton of them. And it's like, okay, what's the twist, right? What was the first, like, do you remember the first time that you were like, okay, I accept fully myself. I accept this, my weirdness, my light, like I accept this. Do you remember that moment? Was it hard for you?
I remember 2 of them, actually. One of them happened back in my radio career, and people say, "Oh, Steve, you have a voice for radio and this and that." And I said, well, I appreciate and I accept that comment. But let me tell you, I wish I had this voice back when I was in the radio industry. I did not go live as a DJ until year number 8 of my 10 years because I didn't have the guts or the confidence. I was an off-air rock morning show producer and comedy writer, very successful at it. But I didn't have the guts to be my own self. So when our morning guy quit, the owner was going to pull the radio off live and put it back on satellite. So I just raised my hand and go, guys, come on, I've been radio 8 years. I can do this. And in parentheses in my head, there's a voice that says, never been on the microphone, but I can do this. So I did the worst sounding morning DJ you've heard for 4 days. And on the 5th morning, knowing the boss was just going to come down and just drop the hammer on me, I just 5 minutes to 7 come out of a song and I said, hey, everybody, Big 101.5, New Hampshire's classic rock. You know, I may suck as a DJ, but if you tolerate me reading the weather for the next 45 seconds, I'll play you a kick-ass rock song. And I just hit said the weather, hit another song. There's a knock at the door. My boss comes down. He goes, bro, that was the funniest thing you said all week. Dude, just be yourself. That was great.
Yeah.
Lesson learned. And on video, it happened in June of 2011. A buddy of mine challenged me to a 30-day YouTube challenge, kind of like you had with the lives.
Yeah.
He says, I'll give you a question to answer every day. That's all you got to do. And the first day I did about 27 takes and I hated each one more than the next. And he called me at about 8:00 at night. He goes, bro, I ain't seen a video yet. And I'm just on camera, giving him the finger off screen the whole time. And finally, I just did a take. I said, screw you. And I posted it. And about 3 days later, a woman reached out and said, oh my gosh, how did you know I needed to hear this today? Thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
And I learned, just be yourself. Just express what's in your heart. Just share the value you have as you are right now. Just be yourself. And you'll find your audience better that way. You'll actually find the correct audience when you're just being yourself.
Yeah. I'm going to play a little devil advocate for a bit, right? Because like for us, being ourselves took a while, I think. Like I feel like everybody does. But what if you don't know who you truly are, right? Because like that's another thing. Like where I feel like there's people that are listening to this today that they're like, oh, that's easy for you to say. You guys have published 300 plus episodes, 600 shows. You've done this a bunch of time. Like, but there was a time where like I was going through identity crisis, right? Like I played soccer all my life. Like that ended, right? Then we stay in fitness. That ended. I was becoming a dad, right? At the time that we launched the show. It was like really challenging for me to kind of find footing and not really share. We were going through a lot of like very hard moments at the time. And, still we have our fair share of challenges. And it was like really challenging trying to find myself. And I think I found myself through publishing. Like that's the crazy part for me, I think. So what would you say to somebody that's like, okay, I have all this thing going in my life, right? Because we all have, things going in my life. Maybe you have your business. You're like, you believe that content is the way to move forward, right? To gain momentum, to connect with people, to advertise your business, right? But these guys on a random podcast are telling me to be myself. I don't know how to be myself. Like, what's the first step that people can take to start exploring that side? And then after your answer, I guess I'll share some of my thoughts too.
Sure. Number one, even if you have to start in your mirror first thing in the morning, first off, give yourself a high five. I learned that from Mel Robbins, the high five habit. Boom, every morning, first thing, give myself a high five at 5:05 a.m. And I got only one little eye part open because our lights are so bright in our bathroom. But I give myself a high five and I'm already smiling first thing. And I look at myself and I say, I love you. Not everybody can say that, by the way. It took me a long time to be able to. And I just say, I love you because you're a good dude and you're going to make something good happen today. What I encourage people to do is understand there is something good about them. I didn't say great. I said good. There's something positive about them. They've been through something that can help someone else in some way. And as it was explained to me years ago, I wish I could remember who actually said this. How dare you not share something that could help somebody else out, whether it's in business or their personal lives? You may not think it's a big deal.
Yeah.
But to somebody else who really needs it today, you are worthy of learning from, worthy of following. So just think of anything you've gone through in your life, personally or in business, because life is not easy. People look at us like it's easy for us. I am by nature an introvert. I am not an out there flashy, just can be comfortable anywhere, rent a party, just plug me in and watch me go type of person. Do I speak on stage in front of hundreds of people? Yes, I do.
Yeah.
But I'm an introvert. And most people laugh when they hear that. But here's the thing. I know that everything I've gone through, especially the past 6.5 years. Now, here's the last 6.5 years of my life in a nutshell. 4 deaths of people very close to me. Both of my businesses, which are event-based, got wiped out by the pandemic. I also inhaled toxic black mold through a vent in my ceiling from our attic for 2 years before we could figure out what was wrong with my brain and with my body. I was just in a fog for 2 years.
Wow.
All of these things were going on, but yet content still got put out every day. Some days it was just a meme or a simple quote or just a little message or just a picture.
Yeah.
Because that's all I could handle on certain days. Just over 6 months ago, my wife passed away suddenly and unexpectedly. And I would not wish the past 6 months on anybody, but I've taken what I'm going through right now, and I've translated it into ways to help other people as I'm rebuilding my business and rebuilding my life and rebuilding my confidence. And everything is fair game in my life. And that's a big part of the reason that I've had success over the years, because my thing, just be the most real, authentic, genuine, gut level person out there. And that is what I get the best feedback on. So, some people say, well, I'm just very private. It's okay. You don't have to reveal the fact that, you got a zit on your back or something. You don't have to say that, but just talk about what you're going through and how you're surviving and how you wake up each day and what your primary thing is to just keep going, keep growing, and keep showing up every day.
Yeah.
That's what the world needs to see and hear, especially with so much going on in the world right now.
Absolutely. Oh man. Well, first of all, thanks for sharing your story. Sorry for your loss. And
thank you.
And thank you for being brave and sharing that with the world, man, and then continue to inspire people every day. I really, really appreciate it. I think like the fact that just look at it as like, what's my next step, right? And we talk a lot about removing the friction, right? So a lot of people might, I was listening to Diary of a CEO in one of those episodes, and they're, talking about like building the habits. And it was more on the fitness side of like, hey man, like if it's hard for you to go to the gym, your brain is going to levitate towards the easy thing, like the couch, right? Let's say you come home, you're spending time with your kids, you put them down to bed, it's 7:30, right? And you see that couch is very tempting, and your wife is there, and it's very tempting to sit down and watch a movie or do whatever, and then you're like, you need to get your workout in, right? So this guy is talking about, it's like, I make it as easy as possible and try to trick my brain to be like, okay, just get to the car. So once you get to the car, just put the playlist, right? Just now drive to the gym, right? Or if you're going to go for a run, it's like, let's just go for a quick walk. Let's do a warm up. So for him, the trigger was a quick warm up, right? He's like, I'm going to start walking on the treadmill. And then the warm up kind of trigger everything else. Like it's almost like the floodgates. So I thought that was like super interesting when it comes to like this creative energy and being in front of a camera. Same thing, right? Like how can we set up our environment to be as easy as possible to create, right? And that answer, I think, comes from each one of us after starting to explore these different possibilities, right? So can we go through maybe some of the steps to remove the friction when it comes to that creation process? Because, you are, not only appearing like 300 plus episodes, but you're also an international award-winning speaker and humor creator. So you're always probably on creation mode. So your Kickstarter might seem now simple, maybe routine for you, but I would love to go through, okay, what are maybe the first steps that we can start removing friction to create? For example, in my specific case, throughout the years, I've been able to accommodate my home office to where like I plug in my computer, I press a button, and then we're live, baby. We're recording, right? Yep. Similar with the studio. It took me years to get there, but it doesn't have to be, because we now have devices like this ones, like the phones or like little cameras that we can just prop up, have good audio, good video, and move the things forward. So what are some of the things that you can do to remove the friction from that creation process? Anywhere from writing to like being on camera, right? What are some things that you do?
Number one thing to do is stop comparing yourself to people who either have bigger budgets or have been doing it for a longer time. Like Luis and I have each done hundreds of episodes of our own shows. And so many people, and I've had people reach out to me because they know I've done this for so long. Well, Steve, I'm worried. Well, what are you worried about? I'm worried my first episodes might not be good. I said, no, your first episodes are going to suck.
Yeah, I think I'll be
really, really badly. I said, there's no might in it. because the average podcast host quits somewhere between episode number 3 and episode number 8. And that is a fact that has been done in the research. The minute you hit double digits, 10 episodes, congratulations, you're among the most successful people in the world. So you've got to get over this perfectionism in comparison to people who are out there doing it, who've been doing it for so long, and they make it look easy. My first episodes, my first time on stage, oh my gosh. And I mean, I get a few birthday candles on you, Luis. Somewhere there's an old VHS videotape that would go in a VCR that maybe you've never even seen is out there. And I was terrible, but I learned something from the very first imperfect thing I ever did. And then the next time I did something just a little bit better. If you're a guest on a podcast, listen back to the podcast and don't bash yourself. Say, okay, wasn't perfect. What could I do next time to make it just one little bit better? And it goes that way too. I create a lot of memes and I write a lot of original quotes. My first memes, my graphic design skills were horrible. I mean, just really, really bad. And I put something out there and it wasn't good. But somebody reached out to me one day and said, Steve, how did you know I needed that message today? And I thought, okay, it's not all about the perfection of presenting yourself. It's getting your thoughts out there. It's getting your ideas out there. It's getting your opinion out there. It's sharing the story of how you got this far. I mean, literally, I am here, literally and metaphorically here, because in August of 2003, on a very hot, humid August day, at about the lowest point in my life, things that have happened recently have been worse. I took a $3 bucket of golf balls and beat the crap out of them just to get my frustrations out. And I was at a local driving range attached to a mini golf. In the middle of a thunderstorm, thunder, lightning, wind, and rain, I was standing barefoot in the wet grass underneath steel-towered power lines, holding the club up, daring the lightning to hit me.
Wow.
I said, go ahead. I dare you. Take me out. Now, the stupidest thing I've ever done, which is that, the next day in a conversation with a life coach, when he asked, how was your week? I told him the story of that. As funny as I could make it sound, and very self-deprecating. Watch your self-talk, by the way. That's a huge tip. He asked if I ever thought of being a motivational speaker or a stand-up comedian. 2 weeks later, my first comedy class. A week after that, my first Toastmasters meeting, which led to me winning some international awards. All because I wasn't afraid to say, this is the stupidest thing I've ever done in my life. But when I shared it with somebody, they asked me a question that helped me to realize 2 of my goals when I was 11 years old, there were 4. I wanted to be a radio DJ, an author of my own books, a stand-up comedian, and a teacher of people. So me being open and authentic about the dumbest thing I've ever done at the toughest part of my life led to everything I've done since. It led to everything I talk about and speak on. I live life every day my own way, and I take a lot of notes. That the greatest thing you can give to your future self is something you write down today that either inspires you or intrigues you or confuses you. And then you spend some time solving it. And then you share it with other people who are where you were. Just look around. Look at the stuff you do, the decisions you make, the actions you take every day. You are literally standing in a field of gold every day. Yeah. So start sharing it.
So cool, man. So cool. We'll have to you'll have to leave us like where we can find that story, man, with the lightning. Like I put here why he teased zoos and lightning. Settle that. But I love it because the last year I was on a kick with comedians as far as like consuming content, and I think they're a great example to go out and try to find those stories and like kind of break down how they do things. Yeah. Because you're putting yourself out there raw with these experiences, right? The more authentic you are. I love a show called Kill Tony. I don't know if you're familiar with that show, but it's like all these like beginners, like 1 minute sets, and they get feedback back to them, and they're like, they can spot it when it's like not an authentic experience, right? Yeah. And I think that's such an important lesson, and we can show in content if you're a business creator, right? In different ways. It doesn't have to be like self-deprecating. It doesn't have to. You don't have to tease the gods of lightning, right? To be able to do this, but I think you can still show a very authentic side with different things, right? Behind the scenes type of stuff. You can have a conversation with customers, candid, raw content without editing. Like there's all these trends, right? And the pendulum goes with different trends at different times. And if you can learn to identify and then don't stick to one, try to, test. And we talk about frequency and consistency, right? On the process of doing things, like what is something that I can put out every single day? Like you said, sometimes you do memes, sometimes you do pictures, sometimes you do videos, right? In our specific case, the podcasting is that for us. We built a system around it so we could be consistent over a long period of time, and that's the goal, right? Number one, because practice makes better, right? So here's a very raw example of what I've been, I mentioned to you before we jumped on the show that I've been on this creative kick, right? So there's this itch that me and my brother have had to create content around soccer. Like, we're big fans, that's what brought us here to the States. Our dream was to play professionally, and at some point we want to create something meaningful in that world. And obviously what we do now is content and creating these like shows and concepts and testing things. And for a long time we've been trying to get together and see if we could do almost like a talk show type podcast, and we have a few episodes out there if you guys want to check it out, the football show. But he's been going through, he just had a baby, so his schedule is like completely bonkers. And so that's why also you haven't seen him in the Content is Profit show. So you know what? I was like, screw it. Like, I need consistency and frequency. How can I do it? So I wrote here, mental anchors, but not only mental anchors, but also kind of like physical anchors. So I'd be like, how can I be consistent with this show moving forward? How does that look like? So my anchor is like, I'm going to create every time there's a soccer game I want to watch. So that's going to make it easy for me to do it because I don't have to think about when I'm going to do it. Okay, if I want to watch this game that is at 7 p.m., how do I actually create it? So now we chose the format, which is a Simulcast. So basically a live stream on whatever platform of the camera filming me as I'm watching the game. Obviously, we cannot stream the game for rights, but we can build something with different tools that we can have like stats up and we can comment on what's happening and we can engage with the audience. And that was like the initial concept. It doesn't look like a podcast, still a show. It's live stream. And here's the fun part. Once I decided on that format, on that anchor, everything came easy because I'm like, perfect. My team plays on this day, this time. That's when I'm going to do it. We booked all around it. We booked the time. And I sat down. The first stream was a couple of days ago. And it was like with this European final. The stream lasted about 3 hours. It felt like 15 minutes, to be completely honest. Wow. And here are the results. Super unique product. We had about 4,000 views. We had people engaged, people that we didn't know on like this brand new thing. And it was like, we were months trying to figure out, like trying to fit it in our schedule. It's like, what is our anchor? So I want to ask you, Steve, like, what are some of your anchors, like mentally sometimes, to kick off that creative energy or to start putting the message out there? Because you mentioned something that I really enjoy, which is your message deserves to be heard. Like, it's very selfish of you if you don't put your message out there, if you know that's going to help somebody, right? So we all need to do that. So now, Steve, like, why don't you share a little bit of your anchors, where they're like physically or mentally, or like, what do you do to be able to do that?
My first anchor every day is when my alarm clock goes off at 5:05 a.m. Monday through Friday. And I've got a mental thing, again, back to Mel Robbins. She had the high five habit, but she also has the 5-second rule. I need to turn off that alarm within 5 beeps. My wife bought me an alarm clock that does not have a snooze button. Very smart on her part. So I got to shut it off within 5 beeps. Then in my head, I go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Both feet have got to be on the floor. I stand up, turn on the lights, make the bed. Then I go in the bathroom, high five myself in the mirror. I go downstairs and do a workout. Now, up until 4 years ago, I hadn't worked out. I hadn't been inside a gym in 3.5 years. Now I work out from home, an hour and a half to 2 hours a day. I'm down almost 40 pounds.
Amazing.
And zero alcohol in 4 years. That's my first anchor every day, is to get my motor running.
Yeah.
And what that also does is, while I'm working out, I listen to positive podcasts, which give me ideas and messages. I listen to people who inspire me so I can think of ways to inspire the people who listen to me. And then I'll make a fruit and vegetable smoothie in the blender. I go upstairs. I do my first social media post of the day based on something I thought of during my workout. So that's where the creativity starts, is my lesson for the day. And then typically on Mondays, I will record at least 2 podcasts to try to stay one ahead. And I do that in the mid-afternoon. And I intentionally block out Mondays from my calendar. Mondays are for creativity and for a lot of the little stuff. So I'll create the shows on that day.
Awesome.
In the evenings, I'll journal. I'll take some notes. I'll think of the wildest things I saw that day. In the mornings, I do a gratitude journal for my 3 favorite moments from the previous day, not just broad brushing stuff, but I'll say, tomorrow morning, just so you know, this is going to be in my gratitude journal. I get to have a great conversation with Luis.
Let's go.
And exactly. You're going to be, I'll take a picture of it and send it to you. You're going to be in my gratitude journal tomorrow.
Absolutely.
That reminds me of the wildest things that happen to me on a regular basis. And that alone gives me so many stage stories and ideas for content. Just being aware of what's going on around me.
Yeah.
That's been one of the greatest catalysts for that. And another thing I love to do at least a few times a week is I'll grab my phone, go into Facebook Messenger, and think of a friend that I haven't talked to in a bit. I'll hit the little microphone and I can leave a 60-second message, or the camera and I can leave a 30-second video. Hey, it's me. I'm in the studio. I just happened to be thinking of you today. Do you remember the time we did this? Oh my gosh, I can't believe we got away with that, but it worked out so well for us. Hey, have an awesome day. Take care.
Yeah.
Every time people reach out to me and say, oh my gosh, how did you know I needed that today? And then what happens within a week? We get together. We get on a phone call. We hatch up an idea for something. We make a connection.
Yeah.
And by the way, one of those is how I got onto this show from a previous guest, Lorianne Morabito.
That's right.
She reached out to me and said, hey, how's your week going? By the way, I got a guy you need to meet. This guy, Luis, is awesome. You will love him. He will love you. And look at that, man. Here we are.
Yes. Loving each other.
Yes, sir.
Yes, let's go. Not in a weird way.
Yeah.
No, dude, Steve, thank you, man. This has been so awesome. I hope this sparked some ideas for people listening. I know it did to me. Like I'm racing with different things. I love experimenting. You know, we talk often in the Business Creator Club that our content is a constant experiment. There's no secret sauce. Over the last 7 years, we worked from, with small businesses to very big financial real estate companies that have hundreds of employees. And every single person that we consider, I guess, successful, that they get like a positive ROI from like their systems and their content, most of them have their very unique process that they've experimented, they've tested, whether the CMO or the small business owner, they're trying new things every single day. So what we want to achieve with the show and with the community is to provide you the tools to facilitate that, like remove the friction. We all have things that we're going through in our daily life, right? We don't need to overcomplicate anything else. So what you did today, Steve, thank you so much. You gave us some mental anchors or physical anchors. You talked to us about the 1% rule, right? You also told us how you dare the lightning gods one night, and that got you moving into your next phase of life, man. And so cool, man. You share with us also some of the cool habits that you do to be able to kickstart creativity and momentum and different things. So I really, really appreciate you. For some people, hey, let's say they will advocate too. For some people, this might sound like fluffy and hoo-hoo or whatever, right? Doesn't matter. Try it out. Right? If it works for you, awesome. I promise you, it's gonna move the needle forward. Like create those anchors, create those internal rules. You'll be like, okay, well, maybe I don't have high five myself, but maybe I do something else. What is that something else, right? Try something new. So cool, man. Steve, anything else that you want to add before you head out?
Personally and professionally, here's the advice I learned by watching one of my grandfathers. Just leave as many situations a day as possible better than you find them in some way. And you're going to find yourself swimming in rich content. And I don't mean go out there and do an act of kindness and film yourself like, hey, I'm awesome. I mean, go out there and impact somebody's life today and use that as part of your messaging. That's all part of your mission, your heart and soul, your authenticity. Let that shine in a genuine way. You're going to find yourself with plenty of content. And I know it does sound woo-woo to a lot of people. My style has been referred to as blue-collar woo, meaning I show you the tools, I roll up my sleeves, I work side by side with you. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. I don't explain that. I do the practical hands-on. If you do this, something really good can happen. So that's the angle I try to come from, is blue collar woo. And
I
it's
love it.
working pretty well for me.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I would love to see people connecting with you. I think here what's the best social media platform? Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. You have it all. Steve
Yep.
Gamlin, right?
Yes.
In
Yep.
all of them. So cool. We're gonna leave the links right below too. You have incredible show, the motivational firewood show, right? Is that how I say it
Exactly.
correctly? There's an R in there somewhere.
Yep. Motivational firewood. Yeah, it's the registered trademark, actually.
Oh,
That's
that's the
I
registered
own that
awesome.
phrase. So yeah,
I
I
don't know
paid
how
a
to
bunch of
pronounce
money to own that phrase.
That's awesome. The motivational firewood show. So cool. Over 250 episodes, man. Congrats. This is so awesome. I'm very, very happy that we got to connect and you coming and sharing your message. I think that's it, man. Guys, if you're into this and you want to create and remove the friction and move things forward, come join us as a founding member. I was going to say founding member of Business Creator Club. You can go to businesscreator.club and join us there. Super cool. If you don't want to pay that, totally okay. Go to Content is Profit on the Facebook group. It's completely free. We do some of the Q&A sessions there. Yeah, let us know. Steve, where do you want to send them? Where do you want people to learn more about you?
People can find me on social media. I'm primarily on Facebook and LinkedIn, but if you want to find my website, we've got a brand new one being built, but the current one is still there at stevegamlinspeaker.com.
So cool. Guys, with that said, thank you so much and enjoy your week. We'll see you on the next episode.